everyone to the Outtakes Movie Podcast. I'm Sam and we're still going on our quest to go through every single movie ever made and rank them objectively best to worst of all time. I'm joined, as always, by my amazing crew. Amelia, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Joe, what's going on, man?
Tired.
Nice and tired, yeah. Nice and aware and awake. Ready to talk about movies. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Yeah. Jacob, how's things?
Hi, I'm alright.
Hey. Okay, so normally we do like little plugs and stuff here, and I'm still going to do them because it's the YouTube thing, but I want to quickly talk about a really cool thing that one of us has done. Amelia, you've gone and made a documentary all about the art of film posters, and I think that's really cool, and that's definitely something that's relevant. So it's called The Resurgence of the Movie Poster. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it's basically our honours project, so we had to create anything, so we decided to touch on something that is quite big for us, so the alternative movie poster scene, like movie poster artwork. It's a relatively small community, but Jesus Christ, it's busy. So we spoke to a number of artists and collectors and went to an event, and we kind of just wanted to show everyone how much we love it and, you know, let other people know it exists and get into it with us. So yeah, it's available for free on YouTube. It's all over my social media. Just type in my name. I mean, so yeah, it'd be great if people could watch it.
Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, and I assume it probably would if you're interested in film, go check it out. Link down in the description below to Amelia's YouTube channel. As for us, we are all on Twitter and Instagram at The Real Outtakes. Make sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe if you like what we do here at The Outtakes. And also make sure to follow us on all your favorite podcasting apps by searching for The Outtakes Movie Podcast if you've not done so already. Righto! So this week we're talking about Edward Scissorhands. Make sure you've watched the film yourself because we're going to be spoiling it in full. It's available right now on Disney+. But before I hand off over to Amelia, I want to quickly talk about its release window. So it was December 7th, 1990. It premiered the day before in LA, but had like a more of a release on the 7th, on the lead up till Christmas. Surprisingly, despite being 7 days into December, sod all Christmas songs that I could find in the charts.
Oh, wow.
Like sod all. It was, however, seemingly the month of like re-releases. So coming in at number 33, Take My Breath Away was back in the charts. Just hell of a tune. Wow. And at number 2, Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers had been re-released and like gone straight in, number 2, very, very high. Nice. But I want to take a minute to appreciate the fact that it doesn't matter how beautiful your love songs are, the 90s, they were a-coming, and number 1 was Ice Ice Baby.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
1990.
1990.
Okay, yeah. Mad.
Straight away, Vanilla Ice. I think it was brand new, number 1. The 90s, they were here. Terrible white hip-hop, it was a here. And over in the world of video games, fuck all. Fuck all. The last release was like just mid-November, so I don't even think it's worth talking about it. It's better off leaving it to another episode. So, instead of getting excited about video games, we'll get excited about movies. We'll talk about Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands. Amelia, tell us all about this film.
Yeah, amazing. So this is kind of, it's a pretty, I won't say basic storyline, but, you know, it's not action-packed. It's not one of those, it's a typical Tim Burton having an idea about his shitty suburban life and just basically making amazing, whimsical stories about it. And I remember I said to my dad I'd chosen this one, and he was like, oh yeah, that's got a really good story. And I think that's one thing that Tim Burton does well, is he creates films that, they're beautiful and incredible, and he's got a great artistic style, but his stories are what makes his work good. And he doesn't necessarily write them. He comes up with the ideas. So, for example, this one is basically a reflection on him feeling socially awkward and isolated and living in Burbank, California. And you can kind of tell because of, and we'll talk about it later, just the suburbia and the way that's portrayed. And basically he went to a writer and said, look, can you write this for me? And she basically said it was a love letter to him because the story basically evolves around him, which is quite sweet. I really like the idea of that. So yeah, I've got a couple of facts and stuff, and some of it's quite fun. Some of them you might already know, but who knows? So you guys always talk budget, so I've got 2 figures. Do you want to know? So the budget itself, this film cost $20 million to make. How much do we think it got in total, because this is the only figure I found, and if this is correct, that's not. I don't know. I personally thought it would have been higher, so I'm gonna double check. But what do you think?
I want to say that
like, Tim Burton films had come out before this.
Well, he released Beetlejuice,
and it was after Batman as well, wasn't it?
Batman
yeah,
as well.
he hadn't done Nightmare Before Christmas yet.
No.
I think that's more of his
say,
iconic Tim Burton. That's you think of that one. Beetlejuice 2, but
Okay,
Batman though.
Well, the thing is, though, is because this movie got like a 12 rating, and you can see them make compromises, like in the third act, in order to like keep that 12 rating. Like they clearly wanted it to be quite mass appeal, but like directors like Tim Burton, I think, can be quite, to most audiences, quite alienating. It is very weird. Let's do a romantic movie, a pure romance about a man with scissors for hands. That's not something that
seems ludicrous.
Gels that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't think it did terribly well, but I still think it made money. I'm going to say about 30 mil. I think it maybe made about 10 million, so 30 million.
that's about 25.
I was going to say like around 40.
So in its opening weekend, it earned 6 million, and then overall, so its total worldwide box office was 86.02 million.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, the number I wrote down is correct. But yeah, so I mean, like you say, that's not bad, is it? I mean,
quadrupled the budget, made a lot of.
Yeah, it made a win, which is the main thing for them. I just think, like you said, Sam, I feel like his films are the type of thing that people come back to, like you say, because I remember, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but in school, the kid who liked Tim Burton and liked like Nightmare Before Christmas was the emo goth kid who everyone just hated for no reason.
Yeah.
Because they didn't, and this is why I think Tim Burton like creates these films, is because he understands what it's like to be that outcast kid who no one really understands, where they're not weird, they're just into different things than the norm. Yeah. And like I think that's why, like you say, these films don't necessarily, they aren't these major blockbusters when they come out, but as you know, people come back to it and they revisit it and new generations come towards these films, that's where they kind of become the cult classics that they are, because people realise, like, they grow up and they're like, oh, actually, that's a really good film, I see why that kid liked it, why were we mean to him? Like, at least I'd like to think people
I was mates with that kid in school, you know.
You were?
Like, yeah, man, one of my best mates was that kid.
Yeah, I had a pretty good mate in high school who we literally bonded over Tim Burton. I'd seen Nightmare Before Christmas, I think, like a week earlier, and then he'd seen like every single one of the movies, and yeah, that's how we bonded. That's how we made friends.
Oh man,
aww, the pirate kid and the nightmare kid. It's like a combination.
I'm still mate to them. I still talk to him pretty much every day, so you know,
cute.
He's not that weird.
Not that
weird. That's amazing. So yeah, we've got Tim Burton pairing it with Danny Elfman again. So Danny Elfman did the music for this one, obviously.
Yeah. You can tell like straight away. Yeah. Like even before his name came up while the music was playing, I was like, oh, I wonder who's written this.
He's got such a style, doesn't he? Like those kind of like dum 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 kind of like, it's really hard to explain like his music, but I feel like his, especially, it's got a name, it's like, oh, I'll have to Google it, but the main song from this film, the kind of more like like lullaby stylish one, the one that's kind of well known, like that to me is what makes most of those scenes that has that little tune in it.
I totally
like the one
agree.
where she's dancing underneath like the snow, ice flakes, whatever you want to call it. I feel like his music adds to that emotion, and kind of like, you don't need any sort of narration or audio, you just listen and you kind of get into it, which is amazing. I mean, that's what music's meant to do, which is incredible. Johnny Depp, this was actually, I don't know if you guys have done much research on this, but this was kind of the role that took him from being, you know, this heartthrob on TV, and everyone thought, oh, you know, he's actually, that's what he's going to be for the rest of his life, he's going to be this heartthrob. And he came to Tim Burton and was like, oh, I'll do it, you know. But do you guys know who was considered for the role of Edward Scissorhands? There's quite a couple of names, so do you have any guesses?
Robin Williams, but it was only to make Johnny Depp take the role. Throwback.
What a throwback joke.
What was that from now?
I mean, the 90s, right? So my guess is probably
Yeah.
Brad Pitt,
No.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise was the first choice.
Tom Cruise.
Wow.
Do you want to know why he said no? He didn't like the ending. He didn't like the fact it was a sad ending. So he said no.
Oh,
What a
man.
loser.
What pussy?
I mean, to be fair, I don't really want
Uh,
to see a version of this film with Tom Cruise playing Edward Scissorhands.
It
Tom
wouldn't
Cruise
work,
just
day
doesn't
Tom
have...
Cruise.
It'd be weird though, wouldn't it? Because
just-
the little brother would be taller than him.
True, yeah. It's weird. Just imagine like emo Tom Cruise with the hair and the suit. It
Just
wouldn't
picturing, like,
work.
Tobey Maguire
It
in
wouldn't
Spider-Man
work.
3.
Oh god.
yeah,
Tom
it would.
Cruise instead, like, doing the hair
He'd
and
have
stuff.
that turn. He'd be like,
Who else was like,
but, like,
big in the
the
90s?
things-
Eddie
oh.
Murphy. Was Eddie Murphy considered for the role?
No. So I'll give you a couple. So the one after Tom Cruise, they were kind of like, those were the two main. Gary Oldman.
Gary
was what Tim
Oldman.
Burton wanted.
He would have done well,
What would he
I
have-
think.
I think
what
he'd
would
have
he
been
have
quite
done
good.
at this point? What was he like in at this point? Was he even famous?
Oh god, he was probably a lot younger. Let's see.
Because I mean, the earliest thing I can think of him being in, I don't even know. Sure.
Okay, he'd been in Leon, the profession. Oh no, he hadn't.
Really?
1994.
That's what I mean.
This
That's
is
the
19
earliest thing I can think of.
1990.
He was in.
Okay. No. Sid and Nancy, 86.
Yeah.
God, they're all like, 1990, State of Grace. Frick Up Your Ears. I've not heard of most of these.
So
Nah.
pretty just small.
Yeah, pretty small roles by the looks of it. He did most of
The-
his film roles in the 90s.
Wasn't one of the bigger things he did was JFK, wasn't it? That was only that was 91 actually. So, always was it Dracula? I don't know. That was 92,
So this could have
so-
been a breakout role. But then I think he would have done it well. But this... Maybe it's because we know how he is now. I think this role is perfect for an actor like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Like this, like you say, like this was all of his major roles going forward were some variant of this peculiar outcast. Like, you think of him as a
100%.
character actor.
Oh yeah, that's probably the perfect way I'd describe him as a character actor, 100%. This one I can't imagine. Tom Hanks.
What?
Oh my god.
No,
Tom Hanks.
Wow.
no.
Jim Carrey. Maybe, but it would have been a bit too...
It would have given it a different tone, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Edward's meant to be this like quiet kind of introvert, and I think Jim Carrey would have made him too...
He's too loud and too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have Robert Downey Jr. was considered.
Wow.
Oof. Is that like drugs, Robert Downey Jr.?
It probably would have been.
I think it was,
99.
around that time.
God.
And finally, Michael Jackson was considered for this role.
You know what? I can see it.
I can see
Yeah.
it, to be fair.
No
I
makeup
can actually
required.
see it.
Yeah, he
Oh
just
my
looked
God.
weird.
God, imagine that. That'd be like, it'd be hee-heeing every time something happens. You're like cutting the things, like cutting the fucking like plants, like Shimona, and that. That'd be such a weird film. Oh man, what a guy he was. Remember when he
I
wanted
kinda
to
wanna
play
see
Spider-Man?
Yeah, he did want to play Spider-Man, didn't he?
So weird.
Man.
That would have been scarring. Okay, one other
Jackson.
role that was nearly cast was Jim the bully. So apparently that guy is the kid in Pretty Woman. I haven't fully seen Pretty Woman, so I can't name the character.
It's Brian. It's Brian from The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, he's just really bulked up.
Ooh.
Sweet little Brian.
You know he's in Thingy. He's in The Dark Knight as well.
Yes.
Is he?
Who's in
Plays
Dark
the
Knight?
new. He
Wait,
plays
I
that
literally watched
news
that the
anchor
other
guy.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. He plays the one where he phones up and he's like, he's gonna give up when the guy's on the TV and he announces that he's gonna blow up a hospital if someone doesn't kill that guy.
Him.
He's the news presenter guy. He doesn't look anything like he does now.
Nah.
I don't think he
Oh
looks
my God,
so
I'm gonna have to
different
tell
now.
you that. Mad.
He looks
Well-
really weird.
Did you know our good friend Crispin Glover, George McFly, was nearly cast as Bill?
Wow.
No, Jim the bully. Bill's the dad. And everyone was saying, again, that just, you wouldn't think, but then again, like I say, the guy, what's his name? Alan Arkin. No. Anthony Michael Hall. I always get Bill and Jim mixed up. I don't know why. Anthony Michael Hall. Like you say, he beefed up. He became a bully, which is quite impressive. But I'm just trying to think if I have anything more before we get into it. It was going to be a musical, this film. But they decided
I can see that.
Yeah, I can see it being a musical, but apparently they decided that the music just wouldn't. It just would have completely like given it a different vibe. But it did apparently get a like on stage very short run. It wasn't necessarily musical; it was more like a dance thing. I didn't really research it; it looked well cringe. But yeah, everything else is basically stuff that I'm going to talk about as we go along. I've got notes, but it's just because, like I say, so much happens in such a short film that, like, there's not many facts, but there's some really interesting stuff. Yeah, everything else I can kind of talk about as we go along. So, let's just have a chat about the story then. Right, let's start from the beginning, obviously. Let me get my notes. Okay, so who had seen this film before we kind of watched it today or whenever?
No.
I had not.
No.
I've seen it like a few
okay,
times.
cool.
I'd seen the dinner scene where he awkwardly picks up a pea. That's it. That's all I'd seen of this movie.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because like I say, I only watched this film for the first time, like I say, a couple of months ago now. With the way that we are at the minute, days are weeks and like weeks are months, and it's just all a bit
Every day
confusing.
is Sunday.
I am measuring my weeks by how many snacks are left in the house. That's when the
yeah,
week's
like ready
over.
to do a week shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me at the minute as well. That's amazing. So yeah, watching this again, I kind of enjoyed it more, I think, because I don't know about you, but whenever I watch a film for the second time, I start, like you say, picking stuff out, and I'm like, oh, I see why that is that, and this evokes that. I mean, it's so sad, but so to begin with, we obviously get a very Tim Burton title sequence, which kind of just shows the house and the inventor's lab.
I love that sort of
and
stuff.
then
Like,
I really like it.
Yeah.
it's really the way he gets like little machines to move. I don't know. There's something really enchanting about it. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's. I prefer this one because it's practical. But I used to love the intro to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton one. You know, where all the like presses are coming down and all the chocolate bars are coming out.
That as well.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's really, I really like that sequence, and I was kind of like, I prefer this one, even though it's less ambitious, because it's practical, because it's tangible. Yeah, I was really into it.
No,
That's the thing.
like
I don't mind when they have these titles before, because obviously that is quite an old-fashioned thing, isn't it? Really, today having all of the titles or main titles before the film starts. But if they make it that visually pleasing, like, I don't mind. I'll sit through it because I feel like it kind of sets you up for the story, which is quite. I mean, like the Bond films do that really well. I mean, I haven't watched a Bond film for a while, but like the last couple of ones I have watched, like they're quite interesting to watch. Like there's bits visual, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And then obviously we meet Kim as an old lady, and she's telling this story to. I'm assuming it's her granddaughter.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Assume it is, yeah.
I mean, when we were watching this, Zach turned to me and was like, "The prosthetics are actually quite good."
Yeah.
Of old
Not
Kim,
bad.
like they're not bad,
Yeah.
are they?
I think the only thing that's bad about it is Winona Ryder's old woman voice is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
good at all.
Sounds like she smoked about 20 a day. Yeah, it's not great.
I've got a question about this bit at the start, right?
Okay.
Is all the furniture supposed to be fucking huge?
I know.
What?
It's baffling, isn't it? That bed is eating that little girl.
It's huge.
I mean, I don't get. I literally didn't find anything on that bit. Like, I think they were just like, fuck it.
Just make everything big. Like the bed was big. I was like, that bed's a bit big. And then like the chair had like a massive back on it as well. I was like, why?
If I wanted to defend it at all, I'd probably say that they wanted to give you a small sense of surrealism even while everything was normal.
Fair enough. And it was
Kind of
still,
like setting you up.
Yeah.
yeah, it was real creepy. Like, you know, in Beetlejuice, we have something kind of similar. Because I thought this started off in it was on a snow globe. Did I imagine that, or was there something to do with a snow globe at the start of this?
Oh no, hang on, I've got it up on the Xbox, so if I need to, I can. Yeah, it'll kind of it basically shows the snow, and then it pans out from the mansion on top of a hill, and then it goes to the window, so it kind of looks like a snow globe.
That's what I kind of thought, and then it reminded me a lot of Beetlejuice about how when we start, you think it's like a real world, and then it turns out it's just like a real small scale model. So whether or not it was supposed to be sort of these people are toys in a big dollhouse or something, I don't know, but it felt. I mean, it gave it a really weird vibe straight from the start.
I mean, I don't know if I was meant to notice, but I noticed that as we were panning over the town, it was a model.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, it's got.
I wasn't meant to notice that. I feel like it was just they decided to do a model for the effect, but I noticed it was a model pretty quickly. That might just be because I'm watching it in bloody 4K HD whatever.
Yeah.
Compared to the whatever it was when it came out, but you do kind of get like a kind of, especially because you don't really leave this kind of suburban town that much in the film. I know they go to that bit where the hair salon is and stuff, but you don't really leave the little cul-de-sac thing, so it does kind of feel like it could be within like a snow globe or something.
You get a sense that, I think, even when they go to that salon, because you don't leave that location at all, it goes from there, and then he just walks over to like the bowling where they're having the fast food and stuff. Even that feels like it's not connected to the suburban area. That could be, if we want to use the snow globe analogy or like model towns analogy, that's a model town all of its own. It doesn't quite feel like cohesive and connected, but that's not a complaint. I do actually think that's stylistic.
No, I like that a lot. I never really thought of it that way. I like it. So basically we get introduced to Peg, the mother of the Boggs family. Again, the names he comes up with are so ridiculous, right? It's fab. And she is trying to sell Avon. I mean, I think he does a really good job of painting this very typical suburban place. Like, even though it's America, I could still relate what it's like back home for me with the way that these people are.
Yes.
Like, we'll talk about it more as we go on.
It's a whole town of Karens. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea of, like, so when Edward comes down and they're all on the phone, and it's like, oh, did you see Peg? Or she's got, oh yeah, I know. And it's like, oh, phone me, I'll meet you on the corner and all this. That's what my mum's like with her friends. I'm not joking. They're all there on the little WhatsApp chats, going, oh, did you see so-and-so? Oh, she got a new car. And it's like, that's all they have to do because they're housewives at the end of the day. Like, do you know what? And like, I think that is still very much a thing. It was a thing in the 90s. It's going to be a thing in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of find it funny that, she's selling Avon, and they're like, oh, what do you want, Peg? And, yeah, I said no last week. And then obviously we get introduced to Joyce, who is the slut of the friendship group. I mean, even though she's like, oh, this is fascinating stuff, looking at like the guy doing like it was the washing machine.
Dishwasher.
Yeah. Like, there's always I know there is back at my home, there's always someone who's like that. Like, he's just done it really, really well. I really appreciate it. And then, so he goes, so she's like, well, what do I do? I've done it for the day, I've done it every day, like, this is pretty boring now. And then there's a shot, I don't know if you remember, she's sat in the car and she's like a bit kind of like miffed. She looks in the mirror and she twists it and you see the castle.
I love it.
That shot was very much done as you'd think. It's literally, they've got a model stuck on a rig and she has to just move it to the right spot. And so that is a model, which is quite fun. I like the idea of doing like stuff like that. I mean, it's probably a lot like long-winded than just doing a CGI shot, but like, I don't know. I like a model.
But there's something really charming about it, though, isn't there? There's something like Tim Burton has got this thing as well. It's not quite exclusive to him, but he's the one I think of. When we get to the mansion in a bit, there's like areas of it that are kind of broken, but they're too perfectly broken. Like where the window's smashed in just the right way to have like a Christian cross at the top, and like it's quite visually like it's a car. when things are warped, they're cartoonishly warped. It feels like someone has drawn it that way to give the sense that it's warped. But it's
like the windows kind of like go small as they go up.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And like it'd be so impractical to the stairs and things in real life, but I don't know, it's weird, isn't it?
I love it. It's not something. It's not an aesthetic I wish on everything because it would get tiresome and strange. But for those who still want to do it, I would highly encourage them, and I would highly encourage to make it practical as well because it is nicer when you can tell that it's something that's really there.
It's probably nicer for the actors to get into that whimsical world as well.
Yeah.
Like when you're actually acting against something, like say for the next scene where she runs, so she goes into the house, so she's just seen all the lovely like big topiaries and all that out front, and then she comes in and it's dark and it's decrepit and she has to run up this staircase, and like I bet just walking through that door and seeing that set, you'd really get into it and you'd kind of like. So I think, as an actor and an actress, I think you'd really enjoy just working on Tim Burton's set because they're just so OTT like. So like you say, she finds this amazing garden, and so she goes up, and so she finds Edward crouched in the corner, and it's, I'm not gonna lie, fair play to her because I would have shat myself. Like, and like I say, he's got this bed, and he's got all these pictures of abnormalities and people who are just as weird as him. And so she basically says, "Look, calm down and live with me. Shouldn't have done that." So she takes him home, and like you say, you get this amazing scene where everyone's on the phone and they're calling each other like, she's got a mysterious friend. Who was he? I don't know. Who was it? And I have a fun fact for you. So you may or may not remember it. It happens very, very quick. But, as they're driving through and Edward's, looking at it, and it's this new world and suburbia's made to look so bright and colourful and just crazy. There's a bit with kids on a slip and slide. So, you may not remember.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently this is true, I don't know how true, the kid on the slip and slide is a Backstreet Boy called Nick Carter.
Was he a Backstreet Boy at this point? Well,
no, he was
90s,
like 10. He's a kid.
When did the Backstreet Boys, were they a thing? Were they not a 90s thing?
They got up in late 90s, so he probably was about like 12 or 13, probably.
Oh, okay. Well,
but apparently that's true.
This was filmed in Florida, wasn't it?
It was, Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you asked if he was a Backstreet Boy already by that point when he was a child on a slip and slide.
He could have been a child thing,
Child
boy
stuff.
band, young, I don't know. He could look young for his age.
Like Crisscross.
Yeah. And what's that? I don't know what that is. What, the game?
No, Jump. The song. Jump.
Crisscross will make you jump. Isn't that one?
Oh,
yes.
That's not what I was thinking.
Dad will make you, and it's and they're kids.
When you said jump,
From the
I was
90s.
thinking that one from Love Actually. Is it from Love Actually? It's like jump, dinner for my love, jump in.
Jump in. The Girls Aloud one.
Girls Aloud.
Oh right, I didn't know that was Girls Aloud. Right.
They covered it. I'm pretty sure that the original was by someone else.
Well, there you go.
Rightly.
Could have been by this Crisscross people. Original. Well, we know that it wasn't now because we know what song someone was actually talking about, but
What do you guys think of the way he portrayed suburbia, obviously, before we get into the house and stuff? Basically, he chose to do Tampa because a lot of places in Florida still looked like how California and Burbank looked like from his childhood. So, because I googled it and I thought it's either a set or it's real. So I couldn't really find anything about whether it was a set or whether it was real. Because if people genuinely agreed to have their houses painted that colour, like, fair play. Because that was, like, very in your face.
See, when I was watching it, because I was curious to see if it was a real place as well, so I googled it, and when you look at the actual real place, it looks so different now. There's so many trees on the street. Like, the entire street's aligned with trees, so it looks completely different. So I was thinking, like, maybe it could have been like a brand new kind of like
a new
estate.
development.
Yeah, like they made a deal with the construction company. Like when you finished it, let us like paint the houses multiple colours, let us film in it, and then you can sell them on from there. Kind of then before they put like the trees and stuff in.
Yeah,
Because
and then the construction company can say,
It was the street from
set, from Edward Scissorhands.
I mean, that's a good selling
on a movie
point.
set,
yeah. I mean, it might not be like that, but it would make it easy because they obviously film in all the houses. They don't look like sets, do they? They very much look like you're
they look
filming
like
in
full
the house.
houses.
It's the houses. The inside of the houses are actually, that's not all true. The inside of the Boggs house is the one thing to me that doesn't feel very Tim Burton-y. Doesn't. It's not. They've not gone over the top on the production design. It really does feel like a standard normal house. I know some of the houses, like Esmeralda, that the production design for that one shot was like through the roof, you know. But yeah, I can see them being just standard houses, and they're just shot literally inside them. Yeah. It looks like.
Well, see, that's if they were brand new houses, then it would be really easy because then all the houses would be empty anyway. They just stick all the stuff in, sorted, really easy, filming all the houses. That's what I feel like. I don't know if it was that, but that's the kind of impression. Well, not impression, but it seems like that would have been the easiest thing for them to do. Because then they have like complete control over the situation because it's not an actual residential area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I really hope that was the case because that would be so cool.
Yeah.
So like we just said, he gets taken to this house, and like you say, it's this very different atmosphere for him. Like you said, it's big. I mean, I've got it playing in the background just in case I need to like have a little look. And like, it is such a big space. And now I don't know if this is because to him he lives in this. Again, it's a big dark attic, but it's dark. But he's coming to another place and it's bright and it's just, there's so much going on. And like you say, it's this whole idea of in suburbia, everything has its place. Everything's perfect. The sofa doesn't even look like it's been sat on before. Like, you definitely get that kind of vibe from it. And like you say, he's looking at the pictures, and that's the first time we kind of get to see the family. She's a cheerleader. They go fishing on the weekend. Very kind of like standard storybook stuff, really. And then they try and dress Edward in normal clothes, which I think is quite funny, the way, like, even once he puts it on and he kind of, like, snaps the suspenders, they then use, like, these punk rock pins to, like, put it back together. I don't know if you guys spotted that. I was like that. Like, so, like, those little things where it's kind of like, he'll never be normal. Like, there's always going to be something that doesn't quite look right. So I thought that was really cool. And touching on the costume really quickly, how long do you think Johnny Depp was in the chair for the makeup for this film?
Oof. I think it probably took him about 2 hours to slip into that fucking gimp suit, at least. Like, 2.5 hours, easy.
Mm-hmm. So hair and makeup on its own did take 2 hours. Oh. I haven't got a time for how long it took to put the outfit on, but apparently the outfit originally had like a cooling system, because like you say, it's like latex, like leather shit. Like it's very gimpy. Like, and apparently parts of the suit, again, I'm not sure how true this is, but a lot of the sources I looked at said this. Apparently parts of the suit has pieces of Tim Burton's sofa. Like, he obviously had a black leather sofa and they just cut it up. But apparently that's true. And apparently this cooling, so he had the cooling suit, then the outfit, but apparently the cooling suit just made it worse, so he didn't wear it. And there's a shot a bit later on, which we'll talk about, where he's running, you know, right at the end, he's running back up to the house. He apparently was sick during that scene, because all he was doing was running in constantly in this hot suit in hot Florida, and he was sick.
Oof.
Sounds so uncomfortable.
Florida's like it's got that horrible like humidity as well. Like it's thick. The air's really thick. I can't imagine it being fun. And like, oh god, I can't imagine it at all. Like it's like really like swampy thick though. Like you can feel it on your face when it's really hot. Oh god, it's really grim.
What do you... Okay, he was sick twice on set, so what do you guys think? So the first time was the running scene. If you had to pick one scene where you think he would have been sick again, when do you think it would have been? If you can remember. I'll give hints if not.
Yeah, give us a hint.
Okay, so it's more towards the middle of the film, and it happens when there's a lot of people in the backyard.
Oh my god, was it during the barbecue?
Party? Is it when he had to eat that thing?
Yep, so when they're like feeding him all the different foods, like, oh, try my salad, try my coleslaw. Apparently he vomited during that scene because it was hot and he was just being fed all. I mean, when I watch it, even I'm like, ugh, if someone was feeding me that, it's the word ambrosia salad. I'm just like,
also, how much of it was on that spoon? Like, I like to have a big mouthful, but it's massive.
It's like a proper shovel.
Yeah. Not surprised.
Yeah, those are the 2 times he fainted, which is pretty mad. But yeah, so he gets dressed up, and then where are we? Yeah, all the husbands come home. I find this scene so funny, the way they're all stood on the corner, like, gossiping. And then one car comes into frame, and then they all kind of disperse, and then they all kind of come in and go home, and it kind of happens again, doesn't it, later on, where they all go to work. Like, it's this, like, routine that they all have, which I think is quite funny, and definitely a commentary on society.
I noticed it when they were all leaving, but I couldn't, I only noticed it after they'd left, so I couldn't tell. Do the colour of the cars match the colour of the houses?
Oh,
it was all the same colours, but I only noticed it was all the same colours as they were driving away, so I didn't see if they all came from the house with the same colour.
No, it's not. They're not all the same.
Right,
They're similar to the houses in the area, but the pink house has a green car, the green car has a pink car, the orange house has a blue car, the blue car has an orange house. So
they've purposely mixed them up. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's quite fun.
I was expecting just a nuke to go off the whole time every time. Like, little area. I was like, can I see a little mushroom cloud in the background?
Indiana Jones come running down the street and jump into a fridge or something.
Oh god, I forgot about that scene.
God.
I forgot about that.
We all did.
Let's forget about it.
forgot about that scene.
Yeah, let's forget about it. Yes, so then we have the first dinner table scene. Now, there's a lot of awkward dinner table. Like, in my notes, I've just got awkward dinner table scene. Awkward this, awkward barbecue. Like, everything's so awkward.
See, I get that it is for the sake of, the farce of watching him eat, which is quite funny the first time. But why wouldn't you just, tape a knife and fork to his scissors?
Yeah, that would be funny. Not make him do it every time.
Exactly, it's sort it instantly, and then now he can eat like a normal people. But no, you've got to watch him struggle.
It's like, we like you, but not that much.
It makes me think, what was he eating when he was living by himself then? Just living up in that castle.
It makes me think he doesn't have to eat.
Stabbing
That's
pigeons.
a good point. Especially as, at the end, he doesn't seem to have aged.
Yeah.
So,
does he feel pain? That's what I want to know.
I don't think so.
I don't think he does. Because, later in the film when he's getting, beaten by that, bar or something or whatever it is.
I think he feels, impact and force.
Yeah.
Like physics, but I don't think he feels pain.
Because when he cuts his cheek, she says, does it hurt? And he says, no. So I don't think he feels pain.
I mean, I definitely think we've got to see him as kind of incomplete, because there's a scene a little bit later on where, I've written it down. I mean, I'll come back to it, but there's a scene later on where it kind of suggests that he's not fully completed yet. It's the scene where the inventor's telling him poetry and they laugh, and he's like, yeah, you can laugh, it's funny, and he's kind of like he doesn't know what to do. I think if the inventor had stayed alive long enough, like say, he would have made him into this perfect man with all of these feelings and these ideologies and all this. But I think at this point, yeah, like you say, I don't think he feels pain because he doesn't know what pain is. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what love and affection is. That's why when he meets Kim, he kind of has this moment of what am I feeling here? It's a really weird. I think you could talk about it for ages because he's such a weird character.
It's like an empty brain, and then every time he has to experience all the stuff for it to trigger or something. Yeah,
definitely.
That's really weird.
I think it's weirder that a guy thinks, I'm going to make a man, I'm going to make a person, a real person, starts off, does the hands last, and rather than putting the hands on him or just having him without hands, he's like, let's put some scissors there.
No, it was a robot. He was converting his robot, wasn't he? From the machine.
But none of the robots had scissor hands.
I remember that second time.
Yeah, the robot had scissor hands.
Like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
because even I was like,
yeah, because there's a scene where the inventor he's using his machine to make cookies, and one of them is a heart-shaped cookie, and he holds it up to his robot, and that's where he gets the idea. So I think he literally has converted that robot.
Fair enough then. I missed that entirely.
I've seen this a few times and I've missed it every single time. Because I always wondered why Buddy gave him Buddy Scissorhands. Give him no hands
Seems
at
really
all.
inconvenient. Yeah.
Yeah.
right, my question throughout all of this: does he have a dick?
I knew you were going to ask
I
that.
thought that. I
As soon
thought
as you
that.
said
I did.
My question. It's like, oh no, it's going to be dick related, isn't
I
it?
thought we were actually going to get a definitive answer to this when Thingy was trying to have sex with him in the salon.
Yeah.
I actually thought we were going to get an answer. I thought there was a chance that if this film had dared to get maybe tried to get a higher rating, we would have seen this smooth, bold little lump.
Oh my god.
Where she's like, oh.
Oh god.
Right? Did anyone? The thing is because he's got all that makeup on and he looks kind of youthful. But did anyone feel a little bit weird about Johnny Depp having a hard-on for Winona Ryder?
I mean, a little bit, but they were dating at the time.
What? No.
That's
Wait,
yeah.
how old was he? Like,
Yeah, now hang on. So I've got Johnny Depp's birthday up here. I wanted to check it. So he was born in 1963. So when this film came out, he would have been 27.
mad.
Is that right?
Really?
27.
like 8 years
Winona
younger
Ryder would
than
have been like 19.
Well, yeah, because basically the story I found was that Drew Barrymore auditioned for the role of Kim because she was like she wasn't this kind of perfect girl, that she kind of was kind of going for this like rocky, edgy style, and basically Johnny Depp turned around to Winona and was like, "This would be great for you." So she dropped out of The Godfather to do Edward Scissorhands.
Whoa.
Wait, which Godfather? It must be 3.
And it's because they were dating. He was like, "Come do this, like you'd be great." And Tim Burton was like, "Well, if you're fucking in love, it makes sense, doesn't it? You know, you're
And he
gonna
worked
play
with
the
her
characters
already.
well." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so then we get the next day. Peg kind of tries to do her makeup on him, and I've kind of tried to think about this scene and like, is it her basically being like, I've got someone to kind of, you know, use my makeup skills and my selling Avon nonsense too? Like, I'm always trying, because like, otherwise it's literally just a funny scene of her slapping gunk on his face. Yeah. Like, I'm not really sure how to read this one just yet. I do think it is this idea that, like, you know, I think
Tim Burton thought that was funnier than it really was. Just the idea. It was kind of paced as if I was supposed to get a big laugh at the idea of lots of makeup being thrown on his face. But I did not laugh. I just kind of sat there.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? Like you say. I mean, maybe 90s audience had a giggle, but yeah, we don't, which is quite funny. Then we get the scene of Bill in the garden, and he's, you know, just kind of just chopping away, doesn't really want to do it. And Edward kind of comes out and he's like, "Oh, I can do that." T-Rex. I mean, like, we were watching it and Zach was like, "I don't think the bush was that big." Like, it is quite funny, like, but basically, I mean, when I found this out, I was miffed, but at the end of the day, I kind of knew it's got to be a thing. They aren't real shrubberies, or whatever you want to call them, topiaries. They are literally just chicken wire, which has been moulded in a shape, and then plastic, fake grass has been stuck onto it. Which was obvious, but
should have been
yeah.
Should have been like bloody Disneyland, where it's all actual like, things.
I did used to live where I grew up. I did used to live near a house with this woman who had like a massive bush dog in her garden all the time. It was like a fixture of the town. It was like a landmark. Yeah,
that's quite cool.
Literally, if you wanted to know where you are and you're like, "Oh, I'm near the bush dog," people were like, "Oh yeah, bush dog."
The bush dog.
I actually really want to see that. That's amazing.
What sort of dog
now
was
that
it? Sorry, I'm
no,
intrigued.
carry on.
Well, yeah, what sort of dog was it? Like a little
good
Westie
question
or something, or was it like a big?
Was, I think
retriever?
it was supposed to be like a puppy bulldog or something.
Weird.
Okay.
Do you reckon if we Googled the name, obviously we won't put it out, but like if we Google the name of your town, do you think we'll find it on Google Images?
Go Google Maps.
I'll try that right now.
Please try.
I'll get back to you.
On the note of topiaries, though, do you reckon, for those of you that don't know, Disneyland basically and Epcot have something called the Flower and Garden Festival, where they kind of like put loads of amazing flowers and stuff into the Disney park, and they have these topiaries, and then, so you have the World Showcase, and they put each character that's relevant to that area as a topiary, and they're like really amazing. Now that Disney owned 20th Century Fox, are we going to get an Edward Scissorhands topiary? That would be fun.
I can imagine they would.
I mean, because they've got areas in Epcot where it's not even, it's just a patch of grass, or like it's just a section like that's not kind of related to anything, so they could just put it there. I'd be happy with that. While Sam searches, I'll just carry on.
I couldn't find anything.
Oh,
which is a shame. But I did find this headline, which I do think is funny. This is the mark of my town. Great Harwood drunk, returning home, went into wrong house.
Was that you, Sam?
Oh man, that kind of makes me want to see what like my town's like current headline
also, is your town called Great Harwood, or were they describing the drunk as great?
No, that my town is called Great Harwood, yes.
Okay, you're right.
wow.
The Great
so
Harwood drunk.
Wait, here he is, the Great Harwood drunk.
We should all find out what our headline is that represents our hometown. That'd be hilarious.
Oh, mine's really boring. Mine's just about a guy who's gone missing.
Ew.
I mean, that's still
That's
pretty
so
nice.
boring.
Fucking hell.
Rough.
Like some family's life has literally been turned upside down. You're like, oh, fucking boring, this, isn't it? Jesus.
They're all really boring. No, one of them is list of B&Q stores open again across the UK, including St Helens and Worsley. Nothing interesting is going on. Oh,
that
here we
is
go.
definitely more boring than someone going missing.
Yeah.
Here we go, see? Little Mix concert in St Helens cancelled because of coronavirus. Bad this, you know.
What has the world
What
come
else
to?
must you take, coronavirus?
Oh my god, there's so many articles about the B&Q in our town opening. I didn't know everyone was so obsessed. Fucking hell. The main newspaper of my town, B&Q, reopens in St Helens with social distancing measures. Why is it reopening? Who the fuck needs to go to B&Q? But yeah, there you go. My town's got
God
really boring
knows.
headlines. Not as interesting as the great... What was he called?
It didn't give a name. It just said Great Harwood
right.
drunk, returned
Drunk.
went into wrong house.
Do you reckon it was like thingy? Do you reckon it was like that like Grandpa Simpson meme where he walks in, realises wrong house, and just instantly spins out, just spins around the spot and leaves again?
That's great. Oh my god.
Man.
So Edward creates this sculpture of a giant, not dog, unfortunately, of a giant T-Rex. And like I say, Esmeralda, the Jesus lady, I've written her down. She comes in and she's such an odd character because she's kind of like, I don't know, she's just kind of awkward and like introverted, but I never know how to read her character.
She acts in a very weird way. I don't get the sense that she had many like director's notes, honestly. Like I don't know, it felt kind of like her acting kind of felt like an extra in a student film, you know, someone who doesn't 100% know what to do with herself.
The only idea... Sorry, you carry on.
I was saying that the concept of it seems like it's based on something. Like the idea that he maybe someone like that lived in his area, but he didn't have a lot of information. He just wanted to include the idea of a really religious person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He probably, like, as a kid, had to go to church. And so this is kind of his way of being, like, putting his fingers up to religion. And being, like, everyone who's, like, religious clearly is a bit of a nutter kind of a thing. Maybe that's, like you say, he's just, like, oh, no thanks, you were weird. So, yeah, more than likely it's something like that. And so, yeah, she kind of comes in and is like, you know, he's from the devil, you know, you're going to regret it and all this. And is it a foreshadowing? Maybe, kind of. And then we kind of get all the housewives knocking on the door, and I don't know about you, but where I'm from, it's definitely that kind of a thing of, you having a barbecue this weekend? Oh yeah, I'm having a barbecue next. And it's like, where they're like, so what time does it start? And she's like, what start? It's like, the barbecue. Oh, 6 will do. And she's just kind of like, like, yeah, that definitely
I've had that happen to me in reverse. I have a mate who's like really...
You've had someone.
Well, no. So I've had a mate who's really, really like badly organized, and he used to live on a farm, and he was like, you might be watching actually. Hi, he's called Martin. Hi, Martin. You're a good mate.
Martin.
I'm not saying anything bad about you, but this one time where we were saying for months, oh, let's have like a sleepover at a barbecue at Martin's house, and then nothing ever came of it. And then during the summer holidays, he rang me up one day and was like, oh, Sam, are you free tomorrow for this barbecue? I was like, I guess so. And then when we got there, and we had a joke about it, that he'd rung us all up like very last minute the previous day, his mum said, yeah, well, he only told me this morning, so...
Oh my god.
What a guy. Oh, that's actually quite cute. So we kind of get them setting up for the barbecue, and Peg's opening a can, and it triggers a flashback. And this is the first time we get to actually see the inventor, who was obviously played by the great Vincent Price. Did you guys know that this was actually his final role?
Whoa.
Really?
So,
wow.
This is why I think, I mean, you can't do this probably with many other actors than that, because he was dying. Like, literally, Vincent Price died, I think, 3 years after this film was released. So, when they kind of show the inventor frail and like everything, and towards the end actually dying, that's not too far from the truth. Like, Vincent Price was that frail and that kind of brittle, and I think that's what makes the inventor so good, and like he's a really good portrayal of it. And I'm glad that Vincent Price said yes, because I can't imagine anyone else doing it.
No.
It's nice to know that Vincent Price and Tim Burton got to work together. Because you can tell that Tim Burton's been quite enamoured with Vincent Price.
He's got that short, hasn't he? I don't know if many of you guys have seen it. He's got literally a short called Vincent, about an inventor, like a child inventor, and like you can tell the voiceover sounds like Vincent Price.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it is quite nice that they've been able to work together, even if it was only for a short. Because basically, the inventor was meant to kind of have more and do more, but because of like the state of him, he couldn't. Like, I'm pretty sure I wrote it down somewhere that, like, oh, maybe I haven't, but I definitely read something where he was meant to do and say more, but they just thought, let's just leave it at this.
I thought it was quite nice that all we got with those two scenes, though. Actually, I think it worked out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I really liked it. And then we have the awkward barbecue. So he gets fed all those horrible things, and everyone's kind of being like, "Oh, I can help you. I know a doctor. Oh, you should come and do that, but you can't do this." And he's kind of like, he doesn't quite get the sarcasm of it.
Yeah.
He's just a little bit awkward. Yeah. And again, this kind of touches on the idea that we said earlier, that he's not complete. He doesn't understand everything yet. But yeah, I mean, just that barbecue scares me. The idea of a barbecue like that, I'm just like, oh no, you do it. Like, but yeah, do you guys have anything to say? I mean, like, it's quite a big scene, but I kind of just, those were the main points for me about that scene. Do you guys, are you the same?
I mean,
I
personally can't relate because I was not friends with that many of my neighbours.
Yeah.
My neighbours, I was friends when I was younger with like the kids of the street, but we all grew apart.
I think my town was like closer, but in like a different kind of way. Like, I remember going back home to visit my mum recently, and she was like, "Oh, you'll never guess what happened the other night, Sam." And I was like with that kind of enthusiasm of like, "Oh, you'll know, like what wondrous thing has happened, Mum?" And she was like, "Well, you know, I'd been to, I think the pub was called the Plough. I'd been to the Plough, and I'd had some drinks. You know, I'd had one too many, and then we were on our way back home, and I fell over." And I was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Everyone's gonna know." Maybe that was my mum, drunk, returning home, goes to wrong home.
I really Yeah, that'd be funny. Joe, you've just triggered a memory, right? You know, you were saying about like playing with like the local kids and stuff. I've moved house 7 times, right, as a kid.
Oh
Same area, 7 houses, right? Not joking. And this one house we rented, it had, and I'm not joking, right? It had at the end of the garden, it had like a tree house essentially. More of like so it had like stilts, and there was like a house on top of it, and it was right up against the neighbour's like. It was a fence, but it was all bushy and fence like. And the 2 girls next door, we kind of started to get on with. You know, they were a little bit younger than us, me and my brother. And we used to play Men in Black. That was our little hideout. Not joking. Nice. So sad. Nice. And I remember one of the girls. We were sat in the like the living room, and you just see her climbing over the bush and into the like treehouse and just playing. And at that point, we didn't want to talk to any of the kids on the street anymore. We were like, hang on, they just broke and entered into our treehouse. How dare they? I think we moved a couple months after it happened, but like it really does happen, doesn't it? You're friends with the kids on your street, and then you never hear of them again.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Such a weird
tell
friendship.
You. Like I know of 2 of the people I was friends with. No, actually, not to lie, actually probably 3. But one of them's still one of my best mates. But the other 2. The only reason I still know of them is because they were in my year in school. That was the only reason. All the other people that I knew that lived on my street.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you a single thing about their lives now. And I've not spoken to them. And I can't imagine I will ever speak to them ever again in my entire life.
Probably
not. I really want to, if I'm honest. You know what I mean? If I bumped into one of them, and they were like, oh, Joe, you know, it's me. I'd be like, right?
Hey.
I actually had a nightmare about that the other night, you know. Legitimately. What? About bumping into someone who knew who I was. You. No. About bumping into someone who knew who I was, and I was like, yeah, good to see you again, pal. Like...
See, my parents inform me that as you get older, that happens a lot more than you like it to. There's been in times where I've been in like Tesco with my mum, and she's bumped into someone, had like a 5-minute conversation with them, and I've left and like, who was that? No idea. I'm just walking. So there you go. The older you get, the less people you remember apparently.
Oh God, I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, speaking of remembering, we then cut to a scene of Johnny Depp, Edward Scissorhands, in bed. And he has another kind of flashback. This is the flashback I was thinking of earlier, where let's say he's gone through all this kind of new experiences and he doesn't quite get it, and he's thinking back to the inventor teaching him how to think, how to express emotion and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of him just kind of like pining and just like wanting to be back with the inventor and wanting to be complete because he's not. I mean, it's quite sad. What do you guys think about the waterbed as well? Which then comes up in a minute.
So confused by that.
Why?
Well, originally he sort of sees it and like, oh, it's a bed, and then it moves so much. Well, oh, that must be a waterbed then. I've never experienced what one of those is, and I'm very confused by it. I don't
like them. They're well weird.
Why would you want to sleep on a what? No,
I don't like them. They're really weird.
The fact that it all starts shooting out when he pokes it a little bit. I thought it was gone like leaks out, just sort of a little trickle. But
I mean, it probably would do that. I don't imagine it would be quite as
like pressurized.
Chaotic. Yeah, gonna fucking take off. You know,
like waterbeds are so weird. They're so like they have that kind of. They don't ever slept like you know when you sleep on like an air mattress and it just kind of like kind of dips in and you sat like this. It's the same with an airbed but worse. You're just kind of in the thing and the bed's like bloody up here and you're like trapped in this like fucking like hole in the bed.
It sounds like you need to inflate your airbeds a bit more. You're sinking that far into it. Just put a bit more air in it and you sit on top of it again.
I mean, I probably should. No, but this is the thing. Like when I did was the airbed, I was in it. I was in the middle of it. And everything was like up here. I was kind of like this, like this kind of. But then the thing is, if you roll this way, all the water kind of shifts, and it basically, as you're on the bed, it flings you off. So, like, it's like a mini catapult. So I'm kind of, like, rolling to try and get off the bed, and then I'm sort of, like thrown across the room.
They are very awkward.
Dead.
My auntie had one. I remember when she bought it, we were all like, why?
It's really weird. It's really loud as well.
So then Kim comes home early, and we kind of get introduced to these like rebellious teenagers. I mean, the car is like flames on it, and it's so like rock and roll and all this nonsense. And she comes in, and I remember when I watched that for the first time, I was like, oh my god, are they actually going to get her to like strip down to the point where like she's nearly in her knickers? And that's when he realizes. Luckily they don't, and he like obviously this moment, like you say, where he just stabs the bed and it's just going all over the place. I want to know why they thought to put him in a waterbed to begin with, because that was a bad idea. I
mean, in universe, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
But like outside of universe, it's what's coming as soon as you fucking see him. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised the entire house wasn't a balloon. Wasn't just some sort of helium-based structure.
There'd been a scene where they had like a bouncy castle. He tries to go on a bouncy castle and just pops it.
Pops the whole thing.
I reckon that like missed opportunity.
That would have been quite funny, actually. So obviously Kim gets scared by Edward, and it's all a bit awkward. And Bill takes him downstairs to have a cheeky drink of lemonade. Which I think was just his way of like just knocking back a drink, because like they clearly have this very organised family, and it shows that even he's not perfect.
Yeah.
I do.
And then, like you say,
I'll just say, I do love how when they come down to like kind of make amends or whatever, they're both pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as soon as Edward drinks the drink, he's like, oh. But then when they both come down. Even the dad's like fucking like, whoa. I thought they're just both pissed really quick. It's so good.
And then so next day, Edward's at Joyce's, so the kind of like cheeky one of the group. And I hate it when she kicks the dog. Like, I know they didn't do it, and they've got a sound effect, but she's like walking over to him and she kicks the dog behind her, and I'm just like, what a bitch, like, no need. But I think you meant to not like her.
It's called something like weird, isn't it?
Oh, I can't remember.
It's got like a really small dog sounding name.
Like Fushi.
It's something weird.
Oh, I didn't write it down.
It's something that sounds small, if you're going to give it a name. If you're going to use it as a name,
hang on. Wait. Excuse me. That's not very nice.
What is the dog called? Is it called Kisses?
Kisses? That sounds potentially right.
Do you want me to give it a quick Google? Right,
I'm sure it's called something like Kisses or something.
I wouldn't Google Kisses the dog.
Oh, no.
I found the name, and it is Kisses.
And it was something weird and small.
Just like Jacob.
Right. What's going on today? This is atrocious.
And she offers him lemonade, and he's just sick instantly. I think that scene's just very much in there just for the comedy aspect of it. We then obviously get the scene with all of Kim's friends over for dinner, and they're all just kind of looking at him, and he slices up the ham, or beef I think it is actually, and drops it on Kim.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's fine, I'll go sort myself out and all this. And I think it's just to show the awkwardness of it all. But yeah, that's kind of all I thought of that one. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Yeah, spot on. I don't think there's much more to add to it. Yeah.
No,
it's weird how, like,
Gordon Ramsay.
There was that other girl that was like, oh, he's touched it with his hands. I don't want to eat that.
I mean,
What?
like, it's fair enough. Like, hadn't they like just seen him using it to like cut some trees? Like, literally, like a scene before.
But
I mean,
it's a
that
fair
does bring
enough
up
comment.
an interesting question. Like, how does he wash his hands? Does he wash his hands? Does he have
maybe
to? Would they go
gloves to wash his
rusty?
hands.
Like, does he
'cause there's
sanitize
that-
him? He must sanitize him.
Yeah.
Got some gel on there, but how would he rub it in? Like,
Someone else
must
just have
get
to, like,
someone to do it.
carefully. You know,
That'd be
like,
so
you,
weird, just
wash
like-
up knife or scissors. Just like
I'm
a
like
little.
the-
Someone has to sponge each blade for him. I guess. 'Cause
Weird.
I can't see how we'd do it. Unless he has a big
must-
sponge with soap in it, he just stabs it with his scissors like that, and then takes
maybe
out
like
fine.
He sticks like you can imagine if the blades are like this. So imagine your fingers are just like that. Maybe what he does is he gets 2 sponges, puts one like on the blade that way, one on the blade there, but like with both sponge bits facing inwards, and he just kind of does that. Maybe.
Why doesn't he always walk around with sponges on his hands anyway?
Yeah, to prevent kind of like...
To prevent him cutting his face or accidentally murdering someone or anything like that. Just put sponges on your scissors.
Or just get bloody surgery to remove the scissor hands. Would that not be an easier option?
I mean, speaking of weird things to try and like sort his hand situation, do we all know about the parody of this film that was made?
Oh no, I do. Don't.
No. Released 1 year later. Sign of popularity here. This in 1991. God. Edward Penis Hands.
For fuck's sakes.
I want to Google it, but don't at the same time.
A 1 hour 23-minute porn parody of Edward Scissorhands, which apparently Tim Burton has actually seen.
When you said parody, I thought it would just be pretty much the same concept, man with hands.
Well, it is the same concept.
Hands.
It's man with penis hands.
No, but like, I feel like there's more funny shit you can do, or more rude shit you can do with the scissors on your hands. Like,
I don't know. Penises are quite rude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I think I found a scene.
I really like if you put it into Google, you know, it says like people also search for. Amelia's seen it. I don't think we can show any of this on screen.
Pornless scene, but like it just shows him with his hands, and it just looks like that dude from The Cure.
Isn't there a bit? I'm pretty sure there's a bit where like someone asks him to do something, and they walk away and leave him, and he just goes. And that's
yeah,
it.
I've seen that.
Because he can't do it.
I think I've seen that. And I think I've seen the dinner table scene as well. They parody that. They've been trying to
really
eat
weird.
with his penises. Yeah,
It's so weird. You know what's so weird? You can have more fun with like making porn parodies than you can making the actual film.
I literally just wanted to share with you that like the people also search for. There's 10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh god.
Nice.
Womb Raider.
Oh no! Oh no!
Shaving Ryan's Privates.
Oh Christ.
Nice.
Lord of the G-Strings and Down on Abbey. So.
This was like,
Oh, that last one's amazing.
I sent you guys the screenshot as well of it if you wanted to see.
I do want to see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing where he looks.
You see, when you said that, I was imagining like penis fingers.
Yeah. Not just
Oh my days.
Right, yeah.
I want to be in the
Before we
room
get
when they
into
pitch
this.
that to like the company. They're like, Edward Scissorhands, okay. Imagine instead of scissors, dicks, and they're all kind of like, it's all silent. They're all looking at him like, this kid's a genius, and they're just
The like slow clap that turns into applause.
Yeah, amazing. Oh man.
Right. Yeah, so we then cut to the scene where Kevin's basically just taking him into show and tell. And again, it's just a humorous scene where he just like chops it up and all the kids are like in awe of this oddity. Then we get the scene with all the friends at dinner and it's awkward. Then we get the scene on the next day where he's cutting like someone's hedge. And fun fact about this one, if you look at the clouds in the sky, I watched a video where they basically said that basically they had a massive bug problem in Tampa, Florida at the time of filming this, where there'd be that many bugs and swarms that like it just looked like film grain, and so like they'd have to stop and wait and then film again. So people have noticed how the clouds in the sky, 1 minute it's a completely clear day, and the next minute there's loads of clouds in the sky, then there's none, then there's loads. It's a really tiny continuity thing. But that's because of that, basically, which is quite funny. And the dog comes over and he kind of eyes up the dog and then, like, cuts his hair. And all these dogs genuinely had these haircuts. So, obviously, practical effects were good, but CGI obviously wasn't really a bigger thing at the time, and so they just thought, instead of just pretending and sticking shit on these dogs committed to these haircuts. like
Method actors.
So, like, literally. Woof. So then obviously we get this scene where everyone wants their dog to be cut in a weird, like, funky way, and then Joyce decides to sit in the chair and it all turns very sexual.
Yeah.
Like, with the toe curling and, like, she's just like, that's the best experience of my life. Like, it's a bit awkward and weird, but I think that's just her.
I imagine that scene's in Edward Penis hands as well.
I imagine
more
so.
than likely.
I imagine it ends pretty differently though. Just saying.
Yeah, so then we get this scene I was a bit confused on when I first saw it. So I think it's Helen or someone is taking him basically to get his knife sharpened. No, scissors. And he basically, as he's walking in, he sees Kim and Jim, Bill, which one was it? I never remember.
Jim.
You see, and, like, she's, like, draped over him really awkwardly, and even Zach was like, well, that's just not natural. Like, why are they just casually stood like that in public? And, like, after seeing it for a second time, part of me now feels that it's basically, they could have just been stood there next to each other, but they're very hands-on and sort of close and all over each other. And I think it's kind of to show, like, Edward will never get that with someone because he's, like, a danger to people, essentially. Like, so I think the reason why they've done that, like you say, is to kind of have him, like, looking over at Kim and being like, I want to do that with her, I like her, I'll never get to do that with anyone at this point. So it's actually quite sad, like. And then, so then I've kind of, at this point, I've kind of just bullet pointed everything because lots of little stuff happens, but, like, the major points. Obviously, Jim's family goes away and he's like, right, let's break in. So, basically I'm thinking of a different section. That's how tiny I wrote this down. We're at a different point. He comes home and Kim and Jim are like, oh, we can't get in if you've got a key. He breaks in. Obviously, Bill then has the idea for later. Jim has the idea for later on breaking into his own house. And then we have this scene where he's on TV and then we're kind of, like, sat watching it. That's just commentary on society. The minute something weird happens, like, this morning would do this. Something 100%. Happens and they're like, get him on TV, let's interview him. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's just the yodeling kid all over again.
Yeah.
The who?
The yodeling kid. You know, there was like
yodeling kid.
Was yodeling, and he was just famous for, like, no time at all for just being a little irritating prick in some shit. I don't want to listen to
that kid.
Do you know what? The one time I've ever watched a morning show. Sorry for keeping the topic in one particular area. The one time I've ever watched a morning show was when I was in, like, primary school. And everyone was like, oh, I don't watch kids' shows anymore, I watch this. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll try and watch that. And they had a bloke on who had, like, really swollen testicles. And they were, like, looking at his balls. And I was like, hang on, I've heard of Watershed. It's fucking 8 o'clock in the morning.
Anything goes on those, man. Anything.
Crazy.
So then we literally just cut then straight away to the next day. After he's been on TV and kind of, like, he's been, like, they kind of poke and prod him, like, oh, we got a special lady, and then Kevin and Jim are kind of laughing because it's clearly Kim, and she kind of has this realization, like, oh, he likes me. So then we cut to the next day, and Joyce is taking him to see this salon, and she's like, you know, we'll have this there, and he's like, oh, Peg can have a makeup stand, and she's like, yeah, whatever. Like, clearly she's not a friend, she's just kind of, like, there because it's convenient. And, yeah, she tries to fill up that penis. And it's so awkward to watch.
It actually makes me really uncomfortable, that scene. Legit.
Yeah.
It's very clear that Edward is not interested in participating, so...
Yeah.
It it's the bit where she grabs his like knife scissor thing, pops the like button, and like her tits are just in your face, and it's just like
really like.
I don't get how she was. If he just sat there and had been into it, which would have been weird, how far does she think it could have gone before, like, it just got fucking weird and covered in cuts and...
Yeah, that's what I thought. I feel like she's this really unique state where she's not touch-starved, but she is dick-starved. You know?
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah, like where her husband just kind of comes home, doesn't want to do anything, is worked too hard and goes to bed. Yeah.
Like she doesn't need to be cuddled or caressed or stroked or tickled. She after one thing.
Dick.
All the problems solved in that, like, in a porn parody then, isn't it?
I was gonna say, I feel like she has a different kind of problem in that one.
Do you think she pops the button open in that as well?
Just using them.
Do you reckon in that one it's like a reverse? So in that one, everyone is like her, and then she's not interested in anyone.
That would be funnier.
Is it like a complete rehearsal? Reversal. I mean, he might have had to rehearse. Do you rehearse like porn? Do you reckon? Is that not just
Dress rehearsals and stuff.
well, undress rehearsals.
Nice.
Unless they do it. Oh, you know what? I don't even know.
We don't even need to think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, then again, like Stan said earlier, they just go to this fast food restaurant, and it always makes me chuckle how he's like, how come you were late? Oh, Joyce was showing me the salon. She tried to touch me, and whatever he says something, and the kid's kind of like, just turned to look at him like, that was funny. And then we cut to the bank, and it's this horrible, big, looming, bland place, and clearly he doesn't like it, and he sees, suburbs as this magical, wonderful place, but the bank is horrible and grey, and we don't like the bank. That's very stereotypical. And then we get this scene on the evening where he breaks into Jim's house, and it gets caught, and it's kind of like, for me, I think that's the point where it all kind of goes downhill.
Yeah,
because they all start to fear him very quickly.
Yeah,
like all from something these kids have done. Literally. I mean, not even to be mean, just kids being kids, isn't it? At the end of the day, just being dicks.
That can happen though. Like, again, like we said during the Dead Man's Chest one, not to get into any like crazy details, but for the sake of comparing it to this, that's kind of like a comment on celebrity culture. I feel how a person is just there doing like one thing, like their job, and a whole bunch of people start to prop them up and idolize them. And the second that person does something that is considered, sometimes it is only small, but the second that someone does something that is considered like wrong, it's a total betrayal, and suddenly they're a demon and become villainized in like the most way. And that has been like the ongoing situation with Johnny Depp, really, is that we never pictured you to have done this, and now we've seen video of you doing this, and now it's hard to reconcile how I saw you before. It's like,
it's this cancel culture, isn't it?
Yeah, I think every time I see the internet get behind a celebrity in a big way, I kind of fear the inevitable them doing something that is even like when everyone started to get behind Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum is just a man, and he is going to have an opinion that you don't agree with at some point. He just is. Because all four of us sat in this call will have opinions that we don't agree with one another. They might be really big opinions, they might be really small opinions, but a man is an individual, a person.
Oh, that. Don't, no,
that's
don't,
one.
As soon as he said it, I was like, fucking Last Jedi.
At the end of the day, at some point, it might come out that Jeff Goldblum says something in an interview that some people disagree with, and they're probably going to suddenly demonize him for it. But he's also not put himself on like a pedestal of like, I am the high and mighty and I'm going to say everything correctly. And I get the sense that this sequence here, it's kind of is a little comment on celebrity culture and the way people prop people up just to turn them down.
The song "Stars in Their Eyes"? It's that.
Yes.
What song? I don't know that song. What song's that one?
You
What
must
you
know
gonna
it.
go and put stars in their eyes? Isn't it that one?
Yeah.
Put stars in their eyes. It's just the same
Oh,
old
I know that
story.
one.
We just
Yeah.
didn't realise. It's that one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
So they kind of, everyone's kind of scared of him, and they kind of don't really want to go near him now. Like, he's been to jail,
Hardened criminal.
and you can tell he's kind of deteriorating at that point. And he comes home, and Kim's like, "Oh my god, I'm really sorry. You know, like, we tried to go back for you, but like," and then Jim comes over, and she basically breaks up with him, but obviously Edward doesn't see this. He just sees Jim and walks off, and he gets angry, and he slashes everything up, and then it's kind of that's the point where everything is just you can't go back from it now, because like they're on the phone after the the scene at the dinner table, where he's like, "Oh, you know, if you find a bag of money, what are you going to do? Are you going to hand it into the police? Or are you going to buy stuff for your loved ones?" And he's like, "Buy stuff for my loved ones." And they're like, "Oh, well, you know, you shouldn't." And it is that kind of thing where it's like, he's not been taught right from wrong in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know what they expected to happen, really. But
Who would, like, legit question, what would people do in that situation? Like, if you found a bag of money, like, what would you do?
It would stress me out finding a bag of money, you know? Because it's not the same as finding, like, a 20 on the street. If you found a bag of money, it's like, shit, this is
going down.
This is already dodgy. You know, what have I stumbled upon? Like,
Why do people have bags of money?
Exactly.
They've probably nicked it from somewhere.
See, this is the thing, right? I remember either my dad or my nan telling me a story about how my uncle found, when they were younger, he found a literal bag of money.
Oh, wow.
Like, literally found a bag of money in this, like, stream or something. It was just, like, on the side of, like a little, like, in a forest in the stream, just sitting in the mud. And he took it to, like, my nan, and they did turn it into the police. And it turned out what happened was, like, this bookies or something had been robbed. And as they were being chased away, the people threw one of the bags of money. They just threw it. And because my uncle turned it into the police, they gave him like 200 quid of it or something. Like, they gave him a reward for returning it. So my nan was
wow.
Make sure you always turn it into the police. But at the same time, that was like, what, 19? That would have been like in the 80s or something. If you're finding a bag of money now, it's not going to be like a company's bag of money, is it? You on the street, you find a bag of money. Unless it's like No Country for Old Men, I don't think anyone's going to come looking for that money, if I'm honest. If it's like
From a bank?
multi-millions. From a bank?
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't the ones in the bank have those like boxes with the guy with the armor, and he comes and if you open it without his key, it like sets an alarm off or something.
Yeah,
and it has like GPS in it.
Part of an elaborate heist. What if they took the money out of that box and put it in like a duffel bag?
And then drop
this just sounds like what you've been playing on GTA.
All right, yeah, very possibly.
Yeah, true. Actually, saying that then, actually, you then start spending that money. They're going to be able to trace it with the what they call, you know, yeah. So then you're going to be in real shit. Oh man. Oh,
you just turn it in. Just turn it in is the answer.
But I want to keep it though. But I guess it's easier to turn it in. But no one's going to give me money for turning it in, are they? They're just going to give me a pat on the back and say, well
the police
done.
are probably just going to spend it on their lunch for that day or something, like, corrupt. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. What if I turn to the police and they use it to buy something else? Then that could have been me. I could have had that money. If it's someone's lottery winnings, that's not a bad situation, is it?
It wouldn't be in a bag.
It might be.
Mr. Lottery doesn't
Sam,
show up
have
with
you
a
ever
fucking
won the
gym
lottery?
bag full
Congrats,
of...
you won the lottery here.
Have you ever won the lottery, Sam? Do you know how the money comes? Because I haven't, and I don't know. So for all you know, they just drop a duffel bag of money off outside your house. Like, ring the bell and run away, and just leave money on your doorstep.
So we're kind of entering the final act of the film now. All the phone calls have been going around. They're like, "Are you going to go to the Christmas party?" And they're like, "No, I said I would, but this person I'm not going to go."
Imagine having a neighbourhood Christmas party. That's really weird.
We didn't have a neighbourhood Christmas party. We used to have get-togethers with like the friendship group who lived in the town. But we'd never have, you wouldn't just invite all the neighbours around for a Christmas party. That's not something we did. But,
my dad,
I don't know. I mean...
Like, my parents and their mates would have parties, but I never went to them because I didn't like going to them. Like, I'd just stay at home and chill on my own. Play my Xbox.
It'd be more exciting, wouldn't it, than actually going?
Literally.
So they're setting up and they're kind of getting excited, but I think they kind of know no one's coming as well. And so she goes outside, Kim does, to check on Edward, and we get that really famous scene with her kind of dancing in the asbestos, and she's having a great old time. I want to know what they genuinely used for that snow, because like because it was the 90s and that, like, it probably is something that she probably could have died from.
Which is the film where they did actually use asbestos? Is it Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
They
I'm pretty sure it's Wizard of
asbestos
Oz.
for the snow. Oof.
Like, what the fuck?
Oof.
So she accidentally gets cut by Edward, and Bill's like, what the fuck have you done? Get out and all this. And that kind of starts his rampage, and he goes off and he's just cutting stuff and he's stabbing tires. And they're like, right, well, we need to go and find him. He's gonna get, chased down by the police at some point, and obviously he does. And there's this lovely scene, isn't there, where he's kind of like sat on the edge of this person's drive and he's just kind of giving up a bit, and this dog comes over to him and is like, and he just kind of snips off his fringe, and then he kind of like gives him a little nudge and then runs off. And it's kind of like everyone hates you, but like there's also like you're still good, if you know what I mean. I think that's always quite a cute little scene. Then where are we?
I really like, during this scene, it's probably one of my favourite little bit of lines. Just in terms of like setup and contrast. So you see that the guy in his garage, he was at the barbecue earlier, and he said that he was in Nam and he got a bunch of shrapnel in his leg and now he can't feel a thing. And he said to Edward, don't let anyone call you a cripple or disabled, you're fine. And then when, everyone starts to hate him, he's sat in his garage and he tells, this is the little brother, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're out looking for, have you found that cripple yet? Well, make sure you let me know when you do. And I just love the, like, I don't know, it's really, really well done. That, like, literally everyone's turned on him, and even someone who at one point related to him is now using the derogatory terms that he said that,
Yeah, don't let them use.
Yeah.
I love the fact he says as well, he says to Kevin, like, they say, let us know when you found him, be a good boy, like, don't go out of the standards and, stick to what you meant to do, which is quite interesting. So obviously Bill's a bit, Jim's a bit sad, and he's like, oh, she broke up with me, she don't like me, and he's like, right, I don't care if you're drunk, drive me over, we're gonna go back and all this. And so obviously, oh, hang on, I've missed a bit. I just realised I've missed a complete line. So, he goes back, doesn't he? Yeah, so he cuts the hair, so he wanders back to the house, and he's like, Kim's obviously there because she's been told to wait, and you get the really famous scene where she's like, hold me, and he's like, I can't, and so she like snuggles up to him, and then it cuts, and so this is kind of, I definitely think it's him experiencing two different types of love, because he's experiencing this love with Kim, and he's like, well, what type of love is this? And then it cuts to the flashback with the inventor dying, where he's like, oh, I'm going to give you hands, and we get this great scene where the inventor's holding up the hands, and kind of Edward's kind of going like this with it, but the way the inventor's moving the hands, it looks like he's got hands finally. Yeah. And it's kind of like what would have been. I think that's quite like a powerful scene. And then he dies, and like as he dies, he goes to show like love and remorse to Vincent Price's character, and he just slashes his face, and it's like, you're not going to be able to love anything, you're not going to be able to touch anything. And like I say, I think it's him realising that there's two different types of love, and this love he's got for Kim is more of a romantic love than the paternal love, I think, from the inventor, which I think is quite a really nice, it's a really good scene. But yeah, so then that's when Jim's like, right, let's go back, and Kevin runs into the road, and Edward Scissorhands runs in, saves him, and Kevin's like, okay, get off, and he's like, are you okay? And he's just like cutting his face. And then, of course, the whole neighbourhood come out, and they're like, oh my god, he's attacking him, he's mauling him to death, and all this. And the cop's like, right, okay, I'll get him. And they run down the road, and even the cop's just like, he realises that he's not like everyone else, he doesn't need to die for what he's done, he's not done anything bad. And he just kind of lets him run off to where he was, and he obviously does like the fake shoot, like he does the shot in the air and pretends he's killed him. But of course, the town aren't satisfied, are they? So they run up to see if he's still alive. But I want to know how Kim got there so quick.
Yeah, there's no explanation, is there? Like
he just fucking fast travels up there. It's insane.
She had to wait for them to go through, because as she was trying to do it, it said, cannot fast travel when enemies are nearby. So
must be. He tries fast travel,
they ran in
bloody
front.
thing. Bloody Jim shows up and says the same thing.
So we get this final scene, don't we, where she's like, this is goodbye, and all this, and they fight with Jim, and what did you think about him dying? Because I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, like he died, like,
yeah.
I thought Edward was going to be the one who died, and he doesn't, and the bully dies, which is quite interesting. But what did you guys think?
It's still quite an interesting way to make it tragic, because they still give it the weight of, Edward, you just done a murder, and like it's weird, because you do get like the romantic kiss afterwards, but it doesn't feel triumphant. It doesn't feel like we've beat the bad guy. It does feel real. You've just killed someone. But I do think the impact is lessened slightly by the fact that they couldn't quite shoot it in a way where you properly saw the impact of him like getting stabbed. I think because they wanted to like retain the 12 rating, like after seeing Beetlejuice, I know that Tim Burton knows how to shoot quite gory shit, and this was a choice not to. So I think like the impact was lessened slightly.
I'm surprised that he kept this at 12 the whole way through. Like, if you're going to have a dude who has blades on his hands, accidentally cutting people...
Yeah.
And just go for it. Just make it It doesn't have to be cutting people open, having their guts spill everywhere. But just all the little cuts and stabs and things. It was very... I don't know, you're right, because they were trying to keep it 12, which again, I don't think they should have done. I don't know, it just felt really... like all the swearing and stuff in it as well. It just feels like Back to the Future feels more edgy than this does in some ways, because of all the weird sex and swearing and stuff in it. But I don't know, I feel like it should have been, they should have just gone for it, and they didn't.
I wonder whose decision that was. I wonder whether or not this was the studio being like, look, can you try and make something a bit more family orientated? If you want to make it a bit edgy, we'll give you a 12 at the most. But it would have been interesting, like I say, if he'd have had just full reign to make a 15, 18.
Feels like it would have been a studio thing, because obviously they think about movies more in terms of money. Like, it happens a lot now where you see, for example, I don't know why I'm saying this is an example for it happens a lot now, but look at the RoboCop franchise. RoboCop 1 is an 18 because it's the movie they wanted to make and it's hyper violent. And then they released the toys, and kids fell in love with the design of the toys, and execs realized that, holy shit, lots of kids will go and see these movies. So by the time RoboCop 3 comes out, it's 12.
It's got a fucking jetpack.
Yeah, and it's stupid, and Terminator as well. Terminator, which started out as quite an edgy, violent thing, and then over time, it's been what's the word?
Edgified.
Yeah, I guess so.
De-violenced.
De-violenced in order to make it... Because if you do lower the rating, then you heighten how many tickets could be sold. That's simple numbers. It's why people didn't think Deadpool was going to happen for the longest time.
Yeah.
Superhero movie, R-rated, that's not going to work.
I wonder if they'll do more Deadpool films.
Oh, 100%. 100%, yeah.
Aren't they already planning on doing that?
Fairly certain that as soon as the merger happened, either Ryan Reynolds or Kevin Feige, or maybe even both, basically said, Deadpool, we don't know what's happening with X-Men, but Deadpool is safe.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it's going to be him again, and they're going to just keep the... Because out of all of them, I feel like he's the only one that they should keep the same.
Yeah.
And that he's the only one that can acknowledge that it's weird. That he's now in the Marvel
Universe.
Yeah,
he can make jokes and stuff like, I'm owned by Disney and put ears on or something.
Exactly. Yeah. You can have it transition, and that character, it's fine. It makes sense to do it with him.
Like, I'm kind of sad that they've done it after Infinity War and Endgame, because you know 100% he would have commented on the fact that they're both played by Josh Brolin, because he did in Deadpool 2, doesn't he? Doesn't he call him Thanos at one point? And like, I feel like it would have been so much better. You got this mad, crazy, like huge, massive Thanos villain, And then you got fucking Deadpool, like, hey, Josh, how you doing? You know, like, just being like, making things.
Oh, that would have been funny, yeah.
Yeah.
What was it, Cable?
Yeah, he was Cable, yeah.
Like, oh,
He was a good
Cable,
Cable,
I like
actually.
what you done.
He was a good Cable. I totally agree. I didn't like that
maybe we'll
movie
have to
very
touch on
much,
those
but he was a good Cable.
Yeah. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was.
No.
It was better than. That was better than I was expecting it to be.
It was better than the majority of X-Men movies.
I've not seen
very
lots of
fair.
X-Men films, so.
Yeah.
Well, they're all on Disney Plus, so maybe we'll have to get around to rewatching them. No. The film pretty much ends there. Kim comes down and says that he's dead. And life kind of just gets back to normal for them. You don't really see it.
Do they walk away as soon as she says that? Do they all
pretty much, yeah.
So they
One
don't.
of them goes, right, I'm going home, and then they all just...
So they just leave Jim's body there to just like.
I think so.
rot.
Yeah, it seems like.
So this is
Even
the
the
other
mom just
thing.
walks off.
Realistically speaking, I know obviously this film is not realistic, so it's unfair to thingy, but there would 100% be an investigation into this, and there would be lots of police all over the place.
Well,
Yeah.
You can't really apply like that much logic to something where there's a man with
but,
scissors
like,
for hands.
But like him terrorizing the neighborhood and the police guy letting him off is one thing, but murdering someone, that's a whole other that's like a possible threat to society. That, you know what I mean? Like, what had he done up to this point? Attacked a child. You know what I mean?
That's pretty big. That's pretty big.
I suppose he attacked a child, but still, he's still now gone the next step and murdered someone. But it's fine.
Yeah,
because
even I can't think of any sort of reasoning.
He's still there, like bloody 50 years later, so it's fine. And like, even though, which is really weird, because the bit with old, oh god, what's the Kim? Is it Kim? Is the name?
Kim.
Yeah. The bit with old Kim weirdly looks like they've gone back in time because all the furniture looks very like bloody 1800s, which is really strange. But I don't know, because they would be.
Would you say it would have worked better potentially if they'd have made it a bit more ambiguous whether or not he was still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting. Yeah, the whole idea of like, oh, when it snows, I think he might be alive, and it's the whole idea like, well, is that snow him? Or
Yeah,
is it...
like,
but yeah, not seeing
show
it.
it, don't they?
like you could have if I was the script editor and there was the bit where she literally says it never snowed before him, I would have written in like really big red text 2 on the nose and asked for a redraft. And I feel like it would have been better, perhaps. I still like a lot of this movie. It would have been perhaps a little bit better if you set up really, really early on that it never snows in this suburban thing. Then, while she's dancing in the snow, you can have her literally just mouth even quietly like, it's snowing. Like, you can literally... It's a very peculiar thing for her. And then the child asks at the end, do you think he's still alive? And you could have Kim like looking out of the window, and you shift the focus so you start to see the snow, and she can just say, I think so. Something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. That would have been interesting.
Like, you don't need to I like the bit with the ice sculptures, but at the same time, I feel like it basically, it does confirm that he's alive, doesn't it? And like, it would have been nicer if maybe, because they don't even need to have done it that way. What they could have done is they could have had it as kind of like those 2 shots of him like still alive. They could have done them in a way that suggests that those 2 particular shots happened just immediately after she went back down the hill or something.
Yeah,
kind of thing. And it could have been, instead of him walking through this kind of like luscious garden or something, it could have been him maybe attending to the garden instead and starting to make it really luscious or whatever. Kind of like give him like a new purpose instead. Like, he knows he can't go down there, but he's putting colour into like his life up here instead. And that would have been kind of like, because then you could have still had those shots with the garden and stuff, but then it still kind of leaves like, is he alive, is he not alive, kind of, oh, but it's snowing still, so
maybe they wanted to do like a potential Edward Scissorhands 2, like they wanted to do with Beetlejuice, and it would have been Edward
Maybe.
Scissorhands in Hawaii.
Maybe. Oh my god.
Carving pineapples.
I'm actually going to Google it to see if that was ever a plan.
I mean, it probably was, let's be honest. But
Oh,
yeah,
no.
so before we finish, one last little fact for you. How many lines do you think Edward Scissorhands spoke throughout the whole film?
Ooh. That's a good question. I think it was low.
50.
Okay, it's higher than 50, I'll give you a
Higher
hint.
than 50. Okay, I was going to go very low. 75.
Okay, it's higher than that.
Okay.
I'd say about 112.
It's higher than that.
Oh wow.
Oh.
It's quite a cheeky number. It's 169 lines.
Nice.
Nice.
So, yeah, he doesn't speak a lot throughout this film, but I think that's a good thing.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, so that's Edward Scissorhands.
Brilliant. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go around in a circle and give our final thoughts on the movie, and we're each going to give it an individual score out of 10. And then we're going to, I'm going to use maths to see where it ranks on a list of the best and worst movies of all time. Amelia, kick us off.
Yeah, so like I say, I've sat and spoke about this film for like an hour and a half, so I'll keep it short. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I feel like I could watch this a couple of times. It's got a good story. It's visually pleasing. Yeah, I really enjoy it, and I like most things that Tim Burton makes. So for me personally, this film is a 10 out of 10.
10. Amazing. Jacob.
So, I thought it was fine. Like, originally, I thought, okay, watching this, why has this been made? Is it because Tim Burton sat there and gone, okay, what if a man had scissors for hands? And I was like, okay, right, why would you make that to begin with? But the more, like, after listening to the discussion, it's been more, he wanted to make a story about someone who felt left out and couldn't feel love. And it was his immediate go-to was, how do you make someone who thinks they can't feel love, give him scissors for hands? I feel like if you wanted to make that movie, of someone who feels rejected and outcast, you don't give them scissors for hands. Like,
But why?
there's just something else. Just have him be weird. Just have him be really pale, or don't.
No,
give
but
him...
that's not enough. Have you seen Phantom of the Opera, the movie one with Gerard Butler?
No.
Right. Don't. It's awful.
It's wank,
okay.
but it's great.
They properly big up the disfigurement of the Phantom and that, and they have these like scenes of, oh, he's a mutant boy and stuff. And when you finally get the mask off and he's a little bit wrinkly, it's such an underwhelming. I think if he was just a bit pale, I don't know. I think the surrealness of the scissors for hands. I understand it. I do understand
I
it.
still feel like there's lots of missed opportunities for it. Like, there could have been loads of, oh, do you need a hand jokes? Or something about, I don't know, there's just... I was sat the whole film waiting for someone to get brutally murdered because this guy had scissors for hands. Like,
You wanted it to be a horror, I think.
I don't know what I was expecting. Like, have
It's
you ever
good to have
tried...
a horror concept.
Are you guys any good with, like, chopsticks? Can you use
Yes,
chopsticks?
I
Yeah,
can use
yeah, I can
chopsticks.
do
Yeah.
Okay, I can't. I'm fucking useless at it. So watching him struggle to eat a pea, I was like, okay, I get that frustration. I felt like there was solutions. Tape, as we say, tape forks and knife like to his fingers.
Yeah.
Put sponges on his scissors so he isn't murdering people all the time. So it was
So
like
if he had chopsticks for hands, you'd be more on board.
not necessarily,
Edward Chopsticks.
but like just I don't know. I felt like if you wanted to do a story about someone like that, scissors for hands is just a weird way to go. But I still thought it was clever-ish. So yeah, 6.
6. Joe.
I mean, I'm kind of like, I like the film. I've seen it a few times. I've not got, like, I don't, it's a weird one. Like, I'm kind of like, it's just a good film. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those films you can just watch and it's good and you're like, I'm happy now, you know what I mean? Like, even the ending's a bit sad, but at the same time, it's also kind of good. You know, it's you know, he's accepted and, you know, whatever. I'm gonna give it an 8 because it's nice, wholesome fun, you know. Scissors, hands, all good stuff.
I know. I know exactly what you mean, Joe. About it's a good movie, but it's kind of this seems so weird because it's Tim Burton. It's almost ununiquely good, you know. there isn't anything bad, and I do feel like maybe the script could have done with an extra touch up, but there's nothing that stand out like, shit, you've transcended romance and you've established something new. It's like, it's a simple story. He's told it well. The characters are enjoyable. The comedy doesn't always land. I really like the aesthetic. Yeah, I think debating between 7 or 8. I think I enjoyed it more than I didn't. I'm going to give it an 8. Being a pleasant little romance comedy, pleasant little like gothic romance movie. That actually had me scared at the start because I thought it was going to be paced really odd and slow, but I think it worked. So that gives us an overall score of fucking hell.
Oh no.
80 out of 100. Long-time viewers.
We need to start being harsher.
Either that, or we need to start putting in like decimal points in our scores out of 10s. So, okay, this is potentially a long one. Amelia, Edward Scissorhands or Beetlejuice?
Oh, I don't know. Oh God, I like them both for different reasons. But if I had to choose which one, I don't know. Edward Scissorhands has a better story, but Beetlejuice is more fun. For me, I'm gonna go with Edward Scissorhands because I think the story is good.
Okay, Jacob.
But I love Beetlejuice.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Beetlejuice. It's just more fucking weird. Love that.
It's more like Tim Burton, isn't it?
Yeah.
Joe?
I'm gonna go Edward Scissorhands, I think.
Edward Scissorhands. I'm going to agree with Edward Scissorhands. I think it's a more enjoyable, like you say, it's a more enjoyable story. And it's a more enjoyable character as well. Beetlejuice is kind of a dick, and that works in that movie, but I much prefer Edward Scissorhands. So, second question. Edward Scissorhands or Dead Man's Chest?
Oh. Again, just because the Pirates films are great, but I couldn't sit and rewatch them like within a month of each other. I'm gonna have to say Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands, Jacob.
Sorry.
I like the bit where they run on that big wheel. So I'm gonna give it to Dead Man's Chest.
You bitch.
Pirate Boy, which movie?
Do we need to
ask? I don't know. Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what I'm gonna
say. I think I'm going to give it to Dead Man's Chest as well, which places Edward Scissorhands as the 11th greatest movie of all time.
It's next to Beetlejuice, that's fine.
Yeah, next to Beetlejuice, just scraping. Can you imagine if all the Burton movies end up like in a block, just next to each other? Yeah.
Imagine, if Tim Burton doesn't like Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's got a weird...
he hates him off.
It. And he's watching this now for some reason.
Hi, Tim.
And he's like, those bastards prefer Pirates of the Caribbean over one of my films.
Two of his films, because Beetlejuice is below it as well.
Oh yeah. Don't worry, Tim.
Blame
Don't worry,
Pirate
my son.
Boy.
You did good on Batman. So if we ever do that one, I don't think I would choose it over Pirates of the Caribbean. Still. But it would be ranked high. Don't worry about it.
That's amazing. Oh, that brings us to the most important part of the show, and that's finding out what we're going to be watching next week. Number 30. I'm very excited for it. Jacob, let us know what we're watching.
So, we've covered quite a range of films so far, but there's one genre that we haven't really touched on much, and that's musicals. So, we're going to be covering a musical, but this one is famously didn't win Best Picture at the 2016 Oscars. I think it was 2016.
I know which one it is.
So we're going to be watching La La Land.
That's
okay.
Okay.
Oh, do you know how sad, right?
Oh, it is, yeah. Oh my god, I've not seen that in actually years.
You know the scene where they did that famous scene with the yellow dress?
Yes.
I always say to Zach, that's our first dance at our wedding.
Aww.
That's what we're going to do.
Nice.
That's
really
way
sad.
cute.
I really want to like dance
Excited.
to like something mad, but Beth won't let me. I really want to dance to the thing. I really want to dance to what's that Back to the Future one? Earth Angel.
Oh yeah,
you
remember
said that
saying
in the
that.
episode,
Yeah.
didn't you? Yeah.
But surely.
Nah, do it. I'll
What's
fucking
her
get on the
choice?
stage. This one's for all the lovers out there.
Either that or Johnny Be Good. I'll get, like,
You should have a
get on there and
compilation.
like go a bit mad.
Man, nice, La La Land. Okay, amazing. Join us next week for our discussion on La La Land. Thank you very much for watching this episode about Edward Scissorhands. Let us know what you thought of the movie and the episode in the comments down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Podcasts. All your favorite podcasting apps, we are on them all by searching for the Outtakes Movie Podcast. Same on the YouTube. And also make sure to follow us on social media for updates on new episodes and shit like that. On Twitter and Instagram by searching for The Real Outtakes. Yes.
That's all of them.
That's it. That's all the
Perfect.
plugs. Nice. Amazing. Bye.
Hold me.
Bye.